Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host for this Monday morning episode, Jim Root, joined by the rest of the three-man weave crew, Ky Mckeon and Matt Cox. We are back for another season of college hoops here on the BBOC feed. We're turning the page from football. That means it's time for weekly, daily almost, basketball podcasts. And every Monday morning, we, the three-man weave, will be dropping a new BBOC episode talking all things betting in the Monday and Tuesday world of betting college hoops. Today's episode, we're going to talk some key games Monday, Tuesday, really only Tuesday. Monday slate is terrible. Some mid-major games, some spots, some favorites, some dogs we're into. Really cover everything, give you some early takes before spreads are out, and give you maybe takes on what the KenPom projected spread is. So that's what we will lean on. But before we dive all the way in, let's kick it to Stuckey for a quick message from our sponsor, DraftKings.
The Big Bets on Campus podcast has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered there. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. To get started, use promo code BBOC when signing up with DraftKings. Again, that's code BBOC when signing up, and bet $5 to get 200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
All right, thanks, Stuck. Fellas, let's get into it. Let's start with the big one on Tuesday. There really is a headliner. Ky, we've got Louisville headed to Tennessee. This is a return game. Last year, Tennessee kind of whooped up on the Cardinals early in the season. Pat Kelsey's first big game. The Vols handled their business. Might not be the case this year. Vols have struggled against top competition. Louisville is a fine oiled machine offensively. Looking at a spread of -1 for the Vols on KenPom. What do you think?
Yeah, Jim, I think Louisville gets its revenge. I have not been impressed with Tennessee that much. They did beat Houston, but I watched that game and Houston could have won pretty easily. There's cracks, and it's shown through on their three-game losing streak right now. Their offense can stagnate. It's Nate Ament, it's Jacoby Gillespie, and not much else. It's over-reliance on two guys. They do have the number one offensive rebound rate in the country. That certainly helps cover up things. But I just think Louisville is too explosive. I think they can compete on the glass a little bit with Tennessee, and I think they can win this one. Number one three-point attempt rate in the country. They're so much fun to watch. Top 50 three-point percentage. So hard to stop, even for Tennessee's great defense. Matthew, give me the Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, I lean Louisville. Pat Kelsey with a charged up call to action to get fans out to that Memphis game. I feel like they put all chips into that performance. I'm not saying this is a letdown spot for Louisville, but next to a Tennessee team, Jim, off 3 straight losses, I do feel like you're maybe going to get a better spot for Tennessee if you're into that. But everything else to me, I just feel like I like this Louisville team more. I like the way they're playing. And I should have stuck to my preseason guns with Tennessee. I was a little bit down on them, and I think they just had a really favorable schedule. Got Houston at a good time, and then I think now what we've seen is more really who they are. Really good, but more flawed than what we're used to seeing with Rick Barton's teams.
Yeah, and Tennessee's off 10 days of rest. So perhaps the spot does shift more towards the Vols. Like
Rust to rust. Rust to rust.
Barnes has been running them through the gauntlet after the double-digit loss in Nashville to Illinois. But yeah, the matchup wise, I prefer what Louisville has going right now. They've got a lot more mojo. The 3-point shooters they flood the court with. Frew thundering down the lane is like the dive man, the roll man in pick and rolls. They're just really hard to guard. And Tennessee's got some quality defenders, but Cade Phillips is now out for the year. That lessens some of the front court versatility. And as Ky mentioned, I don't know how they score if it's not Gillespie or Ament. They haven't figured out the third banana. It's kind of Jalen Carey. I don't think that's a good thing. If he's your third scorer, Akpara hasn't come along. They don't have a 2 guard that can actually get buckets. So I am also leaning towards Louisville in the face of the spot, but it's not going to be a bet for me just because I probably won't be able to get there on the number. With Tennessee at home, with the rest, it does kind of shape up well for the Vols there. All right, the next game on Tuesday that we're going to discuss, Florida State headed to Dayton. I don't know if Florida State has really earned being in this section, Matthew. They have struggled against power competition, against really any quality competition. They slipped outside the KenPom top 100. Just gave up 103 to UMass on a neutral floor. They've lost 4 straight. Matt, can you make any case for the Noles here? Another high variance type team that takes a ton of threes, top five in three-point attempt rate, taking on Dayton, who's a little steadier this year. And though they have a couple losses in tough games, they have also been competitive against Big East teams.
Yeah, only concern here is Dayton. They only turned it over 9 times against Virginia, a team that presses. And coming into that game, Dayton had sort of struggled with some pressure this year. That's where Florida State's, frankly, only hope is to kind of turn their chaos into pick six touchdowns. But man, I just think people have exposed Florida State's defense. I think the scouting report's kind of out on that team. Um, and those early poor numbers against the press per synergy, I think I'm sort of looking at Dayton's ball handlers. I'm like, I trust these guys more than what the data showed. And again, against Virginia, they collapsed not because of that, just for other reasons. That won't come to fruition in this matchup. I like Dayton quite a bit here. Ky minus 14 per Bart Torvik, Q1, Q2 games
Oh
only. That's like
God,
only
14. Wow.
14.
Yeah, 8
That's
per
right.
10
That's
pump,
just
but yeah,
Q1,
that's the
Q2
filter.
games. So yeah.
Okay.
And again, the samples, I hate using that for in December. That's more relevant, I think, in February. But just noting to kind of crystallize Jim's point there. What has Florida State really done in these big games lately? Nothing.
Yeah, they've been really bad, and I wish I kept them down after preseason rating. I had them pretty down, and then I got enamored with the Knowles after that close Florida loss. They tricked me. They tricked me like Woodson tricked Kenny Payne.
Trick me.
Um, this
Check,
defense is
check, check,
horrible,
check.
and I am still a believer in Dayton, especially their defense. Their defense is actually good. A bit of a pace battle. Dayton is playing a little more fast this season. They're willing to run more, and actually that could play in their favor, right? More possessions. Florida State, is going to play a hectic pace. That's going to help this get over the number, possibly, Jim. Spread feels a touch high for. I don't love laying almost 10 with Dayton in really any game, especially with the Florida State team that, hey, yes, they've been bad, but they have some firepower offensively. Robin Cray's really good. So it's going to be a stay away for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate, like, if you're going to back Florida State, it's probably high variance. I wouldn't mind a little money line dabble because the amount of threes they're going to take if they're hot, maybe they got a chance to actually win. But I cannot envision them going into UD Arena, Ky, a place we went and really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic atmosphere. To put one more bow on the Florida State awful defense point, in their last four games, they've played Texas A&M, Georgia, Houston, and UMass. They have surrendered 1.22, 1.32, 1.12, and 1.25 points per possession. Like, teams are smoking them. They have no size. Their starting center is a 6'8" D2 transfer. Sometimes it's Chauncey Wiggins who played the three at Clemson. They just don't have a lot of physical intimidation, and it becomes, are the threes going in or not? And they don't get enough stops to sometimes keep pace. So, yeah, maybe high variance money line dog, but I definitely lean towards Dayton, just kind of methodically picking them apart. And Dayton's got enough firepower to get it done. Let's go Big East, Matthew. There are a couple Big East games on Tuesday, but we're going to ignore DePaul getting smoked at St. John's and talk Butler headed to UConn. UConn is maybe not quite the fully formed non-conference juggernaut that we've seen with Dan Hurley in the past, but this team is really, really good, and they're getting better. Terrace Reed's getting healthier. Braylon Mullins is getting integrated into the system. Obviously, they didn't blow out Texas, Matt, but with Butler, a high-scoring team coming to town, what do you think of this spread? 13 at KenPom does feel a hair high for me, Matthias.
It does. I gotta think it's gonna be close to that though. I don't know if the double OT Providence win for Butler. I'm not sure if that makes this a tough spot. It's pretty tight turnaround though. Only 2 days off to go to the East Coast. I think this Butler team misses Jalen Jackson. I was sort of skeptical that I thought that'd be okay without him, but Butler had point guard issues last year. I worry that those will kind of fester against bigger competition this year. So that's my concern. I know everyone likes Stink Robinson, Ky, your boy Stink.
My boy Stink.
But I think he's got a long way to go. And against those point of attack defenders that UConn can throw at you, and I'd be a little worried. I feel like this could be sort of a danger zone second half situation for the Bulldogs.
Been impressed with Butler. They're building a resume. Hey, hat off to Thad Matta. UConn's just so legit. They're a legit top five team. They scare me. I think Butler's only hope, and I think they can take advantage of this, is getting Reed in foul trouble and UConn bigs in foul trouble. They really do attack the basket. They get to the line frequently, and that might be UConn's only quote unquote weakness right now. I agree the spread feels a little high, Jim, but I do not like the quick turnaround after the double OT. I wonder if they stayed out there on the East Coast for a couple of days, or if they
it was at
back.
Hinkle. The Butler game was
Yeah,
at
they
Hinkle.
go from
Oh, it was at
Hinkle
Hinkle.
to
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I thought it was at Providence. Well, yeah, I'm still going to pass on this game.
Yeah, no, I think the point is well made on Butler actually being a little more competitive, but the point guard issues definitely concern me. It's not like UConn isn't going to be in your grill for 94 feet, but like Malachi Smith is a really good on-ball defender. Demery's got a lot of length. I think they can give Butler a little bit of problems there. And just it's just a different team with Terrace Reed on the floor. The plus minus isn't like overwhelming for him because he missed some blowouts, like some of those like non-con stuff. But you watch, and it just feels like a different team. Like Eric Ribe is negative 13 net rating. He's been solid. Like I don't I think you'd be happy with what they've gotten out of him, but it's just a better team with Reed. So you could even make the case they're a little underrated analytically because they have Mullins and Reed in the fold now, and they can really put runs on you. I'm surprised Texas hung on and kept that one close on Friday night, but UConn can smoke you if they really get going. All right, the last one that I opted to give big game status to is a rivalry in South Carolina. Ky, South Carolina, the Gamecocks just got some big football news. Lenore Sellers, he's back. Get excited, but we're talking hoops. They're headed to Clemson to take on the Orange Tigers, who had a little bit of a scare this weekend. And by that, I mean barely beat Mercer, which was surprising to me. Mercer was winning at halftime. Maybe a tough spot for Clemson coming off the BYU heartbreak. Look ahead to this game with a rival. Are you discounting that performance because of that, Ky? Are you maybe going to ride with the Gamecocks on the road, who are getting 11 points per KenPom?
I'm still not really sure what Clemson is. I don't really love them as a big fave. I know that much. And South Carolina has not been good, but they've competed in all three games that they've lost this season. It is a rivalry game. I think South Carolina is good enough to not get blown out in this game. And Matt, I lean pretty hard their way in a double-digit spread.
Right. This is one where I think we got to be. I just don't think it's going to be 11, to be honest. It kind of this South Carolina team. I know they're not as good as the 2024 team, but I think they have similar. There's some essence, the similarities there, where they're going to always be a little bit undervalued. I think in KenPom because they're not really blowing teams out. They don't win by margin, but I think in close games against bigger teams, I think they have the ability to compete. So, if it's 8. I think that's probably more realistic opener. I could be enticed to call them the Gamecocks. I'm more sold on Clemson though, so I won't be rushing the counter to fade them as a favorite. I do think they're legit, but I also think South Carolina is a little better than their 89 KenPom suggests.
Yeah, Clemson's still, I think, kind of figuring out who their best five is. Like Nick Davidson played 14 minutes off the bench against Bama, then started and played 32 minutes against Mercer. Like that front court rotation with Welling and Godfrey, they haven't fully figured it out, but all the players are good. So it's not like, there's a bad choice with them. But I think they're just still feeling out who they are. South Carolina with Michi Johnson back. Matt, you said it has shades of the 2024 team. Well,
literal
it's 'cause
same
Michi's-
players. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Boomeranging back after a cup of coffee at Ohio State, his second cup of coffee at Ohio State. I make this 8.5 at Clemson. So if it's 11, I would bet South Carolina. But I'm kind of with Matt. I think it opens a little lower. And if it doesn't, it gets bet down pretty quickly to single digits. And I wouldn't take below 10. So lean towards the Gamecocks. I think they can kind of junk it up. It's going to be a slower game. I don't think this will get up and down. And that should play well for the dog in a rivalry game. All right, that is the big games of the week, fellas. Let's go to the mid-major games of the week. We'll start on one game on Monday. We go to the Pentagon, Ky, one of my favorite venues to watch on TV. Wyoming taking on South Dakota State. The Jack Bunnies, typically a favorite in the Summit. You can, your mileage may vary if they're the favorite this year with St. Thomas. Wyoming getting up and down the floor a lot with old Sundance Wicks, one of the happiest coaches you'll ever meet. That guy is just a true ray of sunshine. Yes, he is very sunny. Ky, any takes on this matchup? Obviously, maybe a little bit of home for South Dakota State. It'll be a very pro crowd there. But what do you think?
I think the Jacks have been pretty disappointing this season. It's very clear that Hendo was a big loss for them, losing their coach. Wyoming, quietly top 100. They have a home loss to Sam Houston. I'm not sure I'm buying them necessarily as a top 100 team. But I do like them in this game. The jump shooting Jacks aren't taking advantage of Wyoming's absurd foul rate. It's like absurd. They're the third or fourth highest fouling team in the country. And I like the Pokes guards better. So yeah, I lean pretty hard to Wyoming in this matchup, Matthew.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Wyoming against Texas Tech. I think they have an underrated talent crop, especially in the backcourt. Wicks went all in on guards this season. So from a matchup perspective, I think they'll have some issues against some teams. I don't think South Dakota State is one of those. It's funny. I feel like South Dakota State misses Hendo, but Drake's been pretty bad too. It's like they kind of both programs were are splintering from that divorce, I suppose. No real take, Jim. I'm always weary of these altitude teams leaving the mountaintop 0-2 away from home. Wyoming's been really good, much like Colorado at home against some of these other teams. So this is a tricky cap for me. If the number is like, I don't know, what do you think? It's going to be, it's probably 6, 7,
I think it'll be around 5. I think
even at
that's a
5.
Ken Palm's
Yeah.
projection is reasonable there.
And I think Ken Palm is also baking in he does the partial homes, which is probably, again, prudent in this case.
Would you guys give any extra for home to South Dakota State because they played here on opening night? They played in the Pentagon against
Yeah,
Merrimack.
I
Does
think so.
that
I think
give
this
them
feels like a home
something?
court. Maybe not
Yeah.
true, but I think it feels very homey. A lot of the neutrals, I don't buy that, but I think this one is definitely
Yeah.
that take applies.
There's familiarity. The travel's not bad at all. So
I mean, they should have 99% of the fans there, and they actually will have a pretty good crowd, I assume.
yeah, those Dakota fans turn up for those games, and the Pentagon will be a pretty good atmosphere. All that said, though, I like what you guys were talking about with the guards. I just haven't seen it outside of like I like Seiler for South Dakota State, but everybody else has been not awesome, and Wyoming has been impressive. To crack the top 100, shout out Sundance Wicks. That team is like a stealth top 100 team right now.
I'm not really sure how they cracked the top 100. I think it's from beating Denver and South Dakota by a million in Portland, but
Yeah,
the
losing to
results
Texas
aren't
Tech by
great.
4 is good.
And that one's good too. I'm just very confused about Wyoming. I I don't know,
Their
Yeah,
man.
guards are good. I mean, like
I
Leland
love
Walker's
Walker.
Dennis.
good.
I love Walker. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I like two of their guards a lot. So
I
My
that's
think
good.
that's
number's going to
something.
say bet South Dakota State here, and my heart just doesn't feel that's necessary.
Yeah. All right, Kai, we'll let you decide when the spread actually comes out. As we're recording this on Sunday, no lines official yet on that one. But now we'll peek ahead to Tuesday and get some Ken Palm lines here. The big one, Matt, that I'm pretty excited about is UC San Diego -1 on the road at Loyola Marymount. UC San Diego is awesome and they're fun to watch. And that is a team that has survived the continuity hire more than South Dakota State has. You know, the internal promotion with Allard after Olin took the New Mexico job. They have been fantastic. Very easy to argue they're the best team in the Big West right now, just based on results. Anything for you on this game? I know you've kind of been an LMU guy, Stan Johnson believer this season. Pretty talented roster there.
Yeah, they started to taper off once V-Day got hurt. I think they've sort of such a good start, but 2 weeks off. I haven't checked. I think he's done for the year, correct? I believe he's out for the year. I need to double check
Oh,
that, but
I think he's been
chance he
like
comes back.
game to game. Yeah, I'll double check as you speak, as you
I
talk.
have it in my notes somewhere. I'm going to control find while I fill time here, but it, I think with him healthy, I like LMU quite a bit here. Maybe 2 weeks off is too much time here. But they got some size. I think they actually can guard people. And my guy, MJ Amy, is just a stud. Did kind of his reincarnation from his awesome San Jose State tenure. Um, Comes down to number, as you mentioned, Jim. One, I got to think the Lions are a dog here. I think they're going to be a home dog just based on current form and market vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's got to be I think I need like 3 or 4 to confidently bet against the Tritons, as I call them.
I'm,
V-Day update out at least a few more weeks as of November 23rd per John Rothstein, and it sounds like he'll probably still be out, Matt, maybe through
okay.
the new year. So yeah, no V-Day expected.
Matt, can you guess how far LMU is from UC San Diego?
Oh, if folks don't know this, Matty
Ugh.
California Geography is the
Mm.
most fun segment we do here.
Oh, my numbers aren't. They used to have a travel mile matrix. It's not updating right now. San Diego to LA, Kai.
It's a
120?
2 hour
100 miles?
drive.
Yeah, 2 hour drive.
Yeah, it's about 2 hour drive. So I'm short travel here. I like the Tritons. I'm not a believer in LMU, and especially without V-Day. And Jim's right. UC San Diego, despite the coaching turnover, despite the roster turnover, they've had almost a new team. They might be the best team in the Big West. I'm going to keep rolling with them. I smartly did not bet Tulane against them on Saturday. Stayed away from
Did your
that.
number want to? Mine sure did. And
Absolutely.
I said no. Yeah.
Absolutely. I said, absolutely not. I'm going to stop betting Tulane and I'm not going to do this. And yeah, they absolutely smoked them. So I would be betting UC San Diego if they're a 1 point favorite.
Yeah, they're just so fun to watch. I watched the game against Towson at the Disney Events Invitational or whatever. And they just like they spread you out. They've got big guys that can make plays. Everybody can shoot. It's a really good and fun team, well coached. I think UC San Diego wins that. That would be like a bet for me. So I will be on the Tritons on Tuesday. Maddie, the other one to check in on here is Miami of Ohio headed to Wright State, one of the few remaining undefeateds, the Red Hawks. They have played by far the worst schedule in the country. Oh wait, no, they're up to 364 per Ken Palm. How about that? Only Fordham
Oh, wow.
has a worse schedule right now. But yeah, Miami has not played a single team inside the top 210 of Ken Palm. Old Dominion on opening night, their best opponent so far. Now they go to Wright State, number 142 in Ken Palm, a little bit of a step up in class. Are you buying the Red Hawks, Matthew, Travis Steele, and the boys? Do they stay undefeated or do they
I do
take an L?
I do think they're good, right? I think a few teams this year I've been sort of stubbornly like, I know they've played nobody, but I believe they're good. I believe Miami is in that camp, but it comes down to numbers and price here. I think they should be favored, but the question is by how much. Ken Palm has, as you mentioned, one. I think Miami opens closer to like a 3-point favorite. Kai, I think there's a number wide coming here on Wright State who just the way they play this year is a little more. They actually can play defense. They've not been super consistent offensively. They're relying on a freshman to score and Cooper to create, but I do think they have a good backbone defensively. It makes me trust them. And the Nutter Center can get absolutely bonkers, as I'm sure it probably won't be, let's be honest, for this game. But I do lean their way, Kai, if it gets to like 4 or 5. But I don't think the market will offer that for me.
You're nuts if you think you can just walk into the Nutter Center and get away with a win. You're nuts.
House of Horrors.
Um, yeah, Miami finally plays a competent team. I do think Wright State does a great job defending the arc, and I think that's a key against Miami. It's also very difficult, and we kind of alluded to it with the schedule. It's difficult to know how good Miami is because you can look at all the analytics you want, but they haven't played anybody. So it's like, okay, they're kind of beating up on nobodies right now. They're supposed to be good. They brought everybody back from last year. I like Wright's ball handlers combating Miami's pressure. I have a slight lean here to Wright State, Jim. I hope Matt's right and it, goes 3-4. I don't know if it will, to be honest.
Yeah, I would take Wright State if you get a full possession. If you get the 3 points, I would definitely take them. Yeah, to your point, Kai, Miami of Ohio is 10-0, and they've only moved up 8 spots in Ken
Yeah,
Palm. It's not like they're
that's
blowing
crazy.
away expectations. Yeah, they beat Mercyhurst at home by 5. They beat Asheville in OT. Like they haven't been like overly convincing. I know they were up big in the Asheville game, and it was kind of like a crazy
Mhm.
comeback, but it's still just like they haven't been blowing away what you'd expect from them. It's just kind of been sneaking by, getting to 10-0. I would lean towards Wright State, knocking them off and getting the L. And as Kai mentioned, if it gets to 3, I'll be on the Raiders. All right, fellas, that is it for the mid-major section here. Let's go to live dogs, Matthew. And we don't have a ton of great candidates. I've got a few like spots that I want to highlight later in the spot section, but are there any that have jumped out to you that you, as Matty Moneylines, I'll give you
I
the
know.
true nickname as you deserve. Anything jumping out to you for live dogs on Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah. Honestly, the only one that really got me was the Wright State one, but then I look at some of the pricing and we kind of talked about that one. There's just not a lot of good options. Yeah, you looked at, yeah, I know you had some Southland ones written down here. I kind of glossed over those, frankly, but the Southland home courts have been worth, they've been good, right? I think that's a tricky, travel's no joke in that league. And we've seen some really good top 100 teams go on the road and lose to, just helter skelter random teams. So,
I got a couple just like, hey, if you want to swing for the fences, I wrote down Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word is not a bad team. They're playing TCU. TCU's gotten knocked off by New Orleans already. It's going to be an insane price because they're going to be like a 17, 18 point dog. They beat McNeese, Incarnate Word. They scared Indiana. It's a dangerous team. So hey, if you want to truly gamble and put some shekels on something, I don't think it's a horrible play. I don't think LIU Jim is a bad play against Mississippi State without Josh Hubbard. I know they beat Utah, but LIU has a lot of talent. And then you're not going to get a great price, but heck, Marist can beat Georgia Tech. They they lost by 4 to Xavier, and Georgia Tech's just horrible.
Yeah, Georgia Tech almost lost at home to Maryland Eastern Shore. Like they can lose to anybody, and Marist is well coached enough, slow the game down, kind of shorten it, increase variance as a dog. I like that one. I also love the LIU call out because Mississippi State is another power conference team that can lose to anybody. They've been really struggling without Hubbard there. Like I just don't know what they are offensively. Like
yeah.
he was their identity. And LIU has been feisty. They've been really well traveled this year, like all over the place. They went out to Air Force. They played at IU Indy, played at Illinois, played up at Lehigh, a couple teams in the Northeast there. But it's a talented team that just plays all downhill. They don't have Isaiah Miranda. He's like the big former top 50 recruit who like was supposed to be an impact guy, but he's just like not even in the rotation anymore. He seems like a true team cancer. So maybe that's even better. But they might have the best player on the floor in Malachi Davis. If Hubbard's not playing, he's arguably the best player on the floor.
He's
So
so good.
that's not bad for a team that's going to be getting like 12 points. It's 15 at Ken Palm, but I'm sure it will be lower than that because of the Hubbard factor.
Hmm.
But I don't mind that taking a swing there.
I wrote down the other one, Houston Christian. It's Monday night
Hosting.
though, I
Yeah.
guess, against McNeese. I think Craig Doty's a really good. He actually saw he got a huge extension. I think he's a really good coach. I think they're tricky, tough to play against schematically. One of those sort of Southland landmines that you don't want to step on if you're a McNeese or, well, I guess really McNeese is the only true like at-large-ish type contender from that conference, and that's probably a stretch at this point.
They're done with
Matt,
their loss to Incarnate. Yeah.
yeah. Matt, is there
Oh yeah,
any
that's
part
true.
of you that would have interest in high variance pressure FIU against Miami? Miami, Florida, who's been pretty good,
Yeah,
but they've blown out a lot of their bad competition. That's what makes
I,
me hesitate.
I just think Miami. Yeah, the way they're built defensively. I just I you're the This is actually an FIU team I sort of trust more than the past few seasons, so it's like one I would like to back in this spot, but not against Miami. I've watched them play a couple like good solid mid majors, and they look like a men versus boys thing, and defensively, their length is pretty styming, both on the perimeter and up front.
Yeah, they haven't played a great schedule, but still 12th in 2 point percentage defense, I think tells a story of like the size they have.
Yeah,
Uday
I
and
think that's real.
Renew and yeah, Washington and Donaldson are two really good perimeter defenders, and they've got some size and length on the wing too.
And their freshmen
Yeah,
come off the bench too. Like I think they can extend quickly with their scoring punch. The rookies.
yeah, they've had some injuries. Dante Allen, Marcus Allen, unrelated, have missed the last 3 games, but uh, they maybe that means they play the starters a lot more and can just kind of roll over. So yeah, okay, didn't talk myself into FIU. I tried. All right, fellas, let's go to our next segment. Is the favorite favorites, our favorite favorites, presented by DraftKings. Kai, who is your favorite as you look at the board for Monday and Tuesday?
Well, Jim, I picked out two, if that's okay, if you don't mind, and they share
Oh, two of them. How dare
they
you?
share a thread, a thread of the fates. It's UNC and Duke, of course. I don't think ETSU has a chance against North Carolina. I think they're going to get smashed. They lost to Dayton by 17. They lost to Austin P Presbyterian. Somehow they're top 120 in KenPom. I do not buy it. I do not think they're that good of a team. I think UNC absolutely bulldozes them. And I do not think Lipscomb has a chance in hell against Duke. Size edge, they're going to shut the 3-point line off. And that's the only way Lipscomb can win. And by the way, Vanderbilt beat them by 44 points. Duke is going to have their way with Lipscomb. A chew toy, if I may.
Kai, what do you think that spread will be? It is 24 per KenPom. I bet it's 30, right?
It could be 30. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I might
market
lay
loves
30.
betting up the big favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Matt, Duke could if Duke wanted to, they could win that game by 45, right? Like that's
Yeah,
such a name your number kind of game. Lipscomb has no athleticism.
yeah.
That is a
You got to
problem.
have a few athletes if you're going to have a chance against Duke. And Lipscomb just doesn't. I think they're sort of very much a in their weight class, terrific against elites. I don't know what you're doing there. So
Yeah. Matt, any favorites for you on Monday or
yeah,
Tuesday?
I had Delaware Rider written down. Delaware, no one knows what they are at this point, right? They're certainly not healthy, but they with Justin Fernandez, at least they have a pulse and a pulse that can beat pretty profoundly as they beat G-Dub. Then they just got smoked at home by CSUN in what was arguably a bad spot for both teams. Now they
Yeah.
play Rider, and Rider's terrible, as Kai will attest to.
They're really,
My
really
only
bad.
concern here, yeah, they're bad. My only concern is that Rider's actually been pretty good against zones this season. They like almost beat Merrimack. They play a lot of zone themselves. It's kind of a battle of zones. I don't know if I like laying the favorite in what could be like a high variance shot making game. You probably rather back the dog in that spot, but that would just instinctually, I feel like Delaware is still good, and they should smoke Rider if they play at their best. But they just, they haven't this year because they haven't been healthy. So
Yep. All right.
it's a
I'll sell
partial
you.
circle for me there.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pitch you guys on two. First, St. John's. I mentioned DePaul, just struggling so far this year. I think the Johnnies, with the high tempo they play at, I know they didn't quite get over the number against Iona. I think they were 27.5 point favorites and they won by 27. But that team can really extend, and DePaul is hurting a little in the front court. They don't have a fully healthy NJ Benson. Brandon Macklin missed last game. It's just there's not a complete picture there beyond their big three returners of Gunn, Blocker, and Benson. Haven't been able to integrate Caleb Banks that well after he racked up numbers at Tulane. So I think St. John's can run away and hide in that game. And then also a awful loss, big home favorite, Texas Tech. I know they're playing Northern Colorado, and Matt, there's the assistant connection there where Jeff Linder
Yep.
used to work with Steve Smiley, who was the coach at Northern Colorado, and the Wyoming connection with Linder ended up a very close game. But Texas Tech's coming off the loss to Arkansas, frustrating second half where they just couldn't get stops. The big thing to watch there, though, is if Bam goes back out of concussion protocol, the big shot blocking center for Texas Tech. He missed the Arkansas game, so they only played 6 players, and that really hurt their depth and could open up a backdoor here. So I would keep an eye on his status. If he's in, I think they can kind of score at will against Northern Colorado's defense.
Yeah, played last year. You mentioned that, Jim.
No, I
Lost
didn't.
by 25, and Texas Tech had him buried early. It wasn't like a second half fork that we've seen so frequently this season. But that one intrigues me as well. I just think Texas Tech's depth this year still concerns me as a large favorite. There's been times where I thought they'd really pound teams in the second half, and I mean they really couldn't. Like Milwaukee, they couldn't really get away from that emphatically. I know they beat New Orleans, but whatever. Sam Houston, and
They
then
they
Lindenwood,
shot
game
the
one.
lights
Right.
out in the Sam Houston game.
So I don't know. I think this Tech team is. I don't know if they have that breakaway gear, but maybe the spot here. And again, price. You're getting a cheaper favorite price here than you're usually getting. Like you're not until like 25 or 30. So
Yeah. Yeah, the point about their depth is spot on. Josiah Mosley has not played yet, the transfer from Villanova, and Bam Goy, as I mentioned, was in concussion protocol, and they have 8 good players. Like their ninth man is so bad. Like sorry, Leon Horner, but they can't even go to him. So they really need those guys to get healthy, or they're never really going to be the full version. That's why they're 343rd in bench minutes because
I think
there's
McCaslin
just no
resents
options.
paying JT Toppin $3 million or whatever he paid him a year. I guess he was the best player on planet Earth yesterday, but I think there's a cost to that, and I think the depth is very, very much
Well, I
part
think
of
they
that.
like Federico was getting like 1.5 million from Texas A&M, so he left, and they chose to pay Bamgoy 2 million, and that has been just a terrible choice. Like Federico's the better player, and
And he's
uh,
available.
yep, Bamgoy was a great shot blocker upside, but yeah, he's been hurt, so hasn't quite worked out for them. All right, that was our favorites. We'll recap everything at the end of the episode, all our bets for the week. But let's go to the spot section, fellas. And I didn't find anything on Monday, but I do think there's a really good spot on Tuesday and then a couple lesser ones. Maddie, I love the Queen spot. Arkansas just beat Texas Tech. They've got Houston coming on Saturday. This is like the sandwich of all sandwich, a little bit of letdown. Arkansas has not been that convincing as a big home favorite this year. I think this is a great bet, and Queens is playing really, really well. What say you with this?
I like it. I'm looking at Queens' results against good teams this year.
Not great.
Not great. Yeah, that's my concern. A team that can't guard anybody. I worry about that. I'd rather just instinctually rather back a team that can actually defend to some degree, and just randomly start making shots as opposed to a team that has to make shots and then has no spine defensively. But you're right. I think this is a qualifies as a spot, but not one that I'm probably going to back again, as we'll probably talk about all year. I think a lot of these are factored into the market pricing, so you have to really love the spot and the matchup, and probably something else to get to the window to bet it. At least that just for me.
I would assume Arkansas would take money because we see these big
Large,
favorites do it
yeah.
all the time. But you're right. The pace is going to be high, and Queen's
That's
defense
scary.
is truly horrible. Arkansas not scoring 100 would be a surprise for me. So I will stay away personally on that one.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Queens. I just like the spot. Now there is a little bit worth mentioning where Queens is playing at Wake Forest on Sunday today as we record.
Mhm.
So it's a 48-hour turnaround going from Wake to Arkansas, and they do play fast. So if they're, we'll see if their legs are there. But I just think it's going to be a very unfocused John Calipari team. And if it's not Jackson State, they haven't been overly convincing. Like beating Samford by 4 at home was not good. Like that was not a big showing from them. So I
Mhm.
just think you get a little bit of a letdown from them, and Queens can hang around. All right, 2 other spots, Matthew. You won a best bet on our three-man weave show on Saturday with Oklahoma taking down arch rival undefeated Oklahoma State in Bedlam. Can I talk you into Kansas City, who is truly awful, getting almost 30 points against the Sooners, who have also not been very good as big home favorites this year?
I'm interested. I am. I saw UMKC compete at Texas, sort of for a little bit there, and they're
That's
obviously.
loaded
I mean,
word.
they're obviously a terrible team, Jim. Can they be any worse? This team was not supposed to be that bad. So I think just from that angle in the spot, again, this is one where I think you got to be careful up in the flow. I think this is one where maybe I'd go first half, as our guy Zhang says, get in, get out. Um,
Yeah.
and again, there is some talent on this team. There is some athleticism, some being in big fat quotations, but this team should not be this bad. I can't quite understand how they got here.
Well, Matt, I've thought the same thing, and I've paid for it. I've paid for it dearly. They're 2-7 against the spread, and I'm probably 0-5 or 0-6 betting on them. So I have tanked their rating, and I'll never bet on them again for the rest of the year. So no, thank you, Jim, on the ruse.
Okay, no, thank you for the Roos. The Roos get the two for at Oklahoma Tuesday, at Oklahoma State Thursday. So I could see them packing it in. If it starts to look bad in the second half, just like, screw it, we got to go to Oklahoma State on Thursday. Why even bother?
It'd be
Also
fun.
fun.
I just bet both those Oklahoma teams just to effing crush them. Just
Good. I
They're
like
murder
shooting
them.
22%
Catharsis.
from three. Like, I don't like to be like shooting regression guy, but like I do think there's a point where even the worst shooting teams historically can't possibly shoot that poorly.
But they've only had one guy take 53s. They've had only one guy make 10. So like it kind
Yeah.
of they're just a bad shooting team because Carmelo Branch can't make threes. Like that's really all it is. Like they just, it's not like a team-wide issue. They just don't have any shooters. So it's hard to get excited about an underdog that's going to have to score at the rim against more athletic size. That scares you with UMKC. The other spot I wrote down is Cal Baptist laying 9 against Southern, Matt, a team that I do respect. Southern is feisty,
Yep.
but why the hell do they care about going to California after playing in Texas a couple games? It's a one-off trip to the West Coast, makes no sense for them. On the other side, Cal Baptist has been away from home for like 6 straight games. They haven't played a home game since November 21st. I feel like it's a decent get right spot, and it's a really good Cal Baptist team who just won at Eastern Washington. It's just like, can you get there with a spot with Southern being a feisty underdog? That's the question.
Yeah, no, I think if you have handlers who can handle pressure, and obviously Cal Baptist does. This is actually this is my favorite one that you wrote down here. You're right. Back home, they're so big. That's what Cal Baptist I think could be a good favorite. Like they can just dominate the glass with their size, and they can handle Southern's pressure. And I agree with you. Why does Southern care about this game? I mean, Cal Baptist has basically played one bad game, and I wouldn't even call it a bad game. It was at BYU when they were on a 48 hours of altitude turnaround against pro talent. I mean, this is a good team, and everyone understands that. I like it, Jim. I don't like fading Southern as a dog, but I do think this is sort of a tough matchup and tough spot.
Jim has my attention and curiosity on this one.
Ooh.
Cal Baptist, I do indeed like. Agreed. The spot is great. And yes, the bloodbath on the glass, which I am very attracted to, will be something for CBU.
Yeah, I mean, Cal Baptist plays 4 guys that are 6'10" or bigger. Like they're enormous in the paint. Like their guards are small, but
Yeah.
like they're big up front.
It is funny. Their average height is 305th, and yet they have 2 7-footers and a 6'11" guy. They play it all the time.
Which is skewed because it's the two small guards. It's two small guards, then supersize front line.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, I'm gonna lay it with Cal Baptist. I'll have the -9 in my end of show recap. All right, one more section before we recap everything, fellas. The trash. It's time to take out the trash. We're gonna start with the Chicago trash, local for us guys.
Yes,
we
local
could
trash.
hop on the garbage truck and head up to Loyola and watch them take on Chicago State. Loyola has been one of the worst against the spread teams this entire season. They did get their first cover of the year recently, but Ky, they currently sit at 1-9 with an average cover margin of -12.5 points.
Yeah.
They haven't been close for most of their games. The ratings have kind of adjusted, but I kind of find Chicago State scrappy under their new coach Bussey, getting him to come over from the SWAC. I think this one stays a little bit competitive.
I kind of do too. If I was forced to bet this game, I would lean towards Chicago State here. They have no business competing with Loyola, but Loyola has done things this year that I never thought possible with the talent on their team. They've been horrible. So they're not good enough offensively to really kill a bad Chicago State defense. And Loyola's defense is so bad. I think Chicago State can score points and muck it up and make this one kind of close, Matthew.
Yeah, you just got smoked by Illinois State. They've been off for like a week. I bet you get a pretty good effort from Chicago State. I don't know if that translates to good performance, but I think you get a good effort, and that intrigues me from a dog perspective. And yeah, the Blurs. It's like I fell into the trap against I backed Central Michigan. Turns out Central Michigan's
Yep.
just terrible.
Yep.
So like
That one has hurt finding that out. Yes.
and Princeton is just basically like we don't care until Ivy play until we have players back. So yeah, I think if you're looking to fade Loyola and you still think they're sort of bad, I mean they are bad, but if you believe they're not turning it around, which I think I do, I think this is maybe a good spot to get cute.
Yep. All right. One other just trash that I had to mention, guys. Mississippi Valley State is hosting its first D1 non-conference game since
Holy
2022.
moly.
It has been 3 years. They had 2 straight seasons where they did not host a non-conference game against a D1 team. Tarleton State coming to town, Ky, as a 17-point road favorite. Do you think Idabena is going to stand up here and get the Delta Devils a competitive effort against Tarleton?
Hell yeah, I do. I'm taking the Delta Devs, man. How can you not? Non-con home game? Come on. They weren't horrible in a few games this season. They've been mostly bad. But competing, look, you gotta move the bar down when you're talking about Mississippi Valley State. And they took Utah Tech to double overtime. They competed with Manhattan in Hawaii. That's about as good as I can say. But Tarleton State, they're so erratic, and heck,
Who knows
Gillespie
who's playing?
Gillespie might just not play, guys.
Dior
And that'd be
Johnson may
great.
not play.
Dior
Hicks may
Johnson
not
might not play. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Mississippi Valley State, it's going on the betting board. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. I agree. I think this game gets ugly on the road. God, what number do you need though?
I'll take 17.
I need 2 touchdowns at least, right? Anything under two
Oh,
touchdowns, I
yeah.
cannot look
No.
myself in the mirror and bet Mississippi Valley State.
They're
There
going
will
to take
be-
money. Guarantee it.
There will be a lot of free throws taken in this game. Both teams
Yeah.
foul like crazy. And Mississippi Valley State's the better free throw shooting team. They're top 15
Yeah,
in the
they're
country
automatic.
in free throw
Automatic.
percentage. I think that matters here. And yeah, I mean, I mentioned they hadn't had a home non-conference game since North Alabama in 2023. It was the 2023 season. They beat North Alabama at home. Like, I think there's like a weird aura with that place. And it's an odd scheduling decision by Gillespie to go to Mississippi Valley State, but I'm thinking the Delta Devils compete there at minimum.
Did
The
they
Harrison
pay,
Complex.
Live dog,
2700.
live dog boys.
did they pay him to come? Is that a buy game, quote
There's
unquote?
no way.
I don't think so.
No way, right?
Oh, maybe it's a
Because
home
you look
and
at
home.
Tarleton State, their whole schedule is like non D1 teams at home, which are basically cheaper to book. Like it's kind of an obvious like budget. New Mexico State does this too, kind of a budget saving thing. You get a bunch of non D1 teams, get them in cheap.
We should say go follow MVSU MBB. That's the unofficial Mississippi Valley State
a great
men's
account,
basketball
yeah.
account. It's hilarious. It's fantastic. You guys have to follow them. They are
Very
so funny.
self-deprecating. Yes.
Yes. I love this account.
Yes. Highly, highly recommend it. All right, fellas, that is the trash section. Let's go through a little recap here. I have got UC San Diego against Loyola Marymount. Definitely betting that. South Carolina at +10 or better. I'm taking Queens, getting 20 against Arkansas in that sandwich spot. Texas Tech was my favorite, despite the depth questions and concerns. And I will hop all aboard the Mississippi Valley State train as well. The Delta Devs. Ky, what about you? What do you got on the board this week?
Very similar, Jim. I'm going to take Louisville against Tennessee. Hopefully the market bets Tennessee. Maybe get a little dog action. We'll see. South Carolina at +10 or better. UC San Diego will be on the card. Cal Bap -9. Hopefully, I
That's
might
right.
take some
Cal
money.
Baptist as well. Yes.
And then the Delta Devs at home, non-con game, 100% Delta Devs, Matthew.
I'm gonna try and just trust some of the strongest spots, agnostic of number. So South Carolina, Cal Baptist, Mississippi Valley State. I think you'll probably see some shade maybe toward those teams, at least from the Ken Pom expectation. But again, if our spot radar is good enough, matchup radar is good enough, it shouldn't matter. I'm just gonna keep it. Yeah, those three pack for me.
You feeling good about your spot and matchup radar today, Matthew?
Not really after this weekend, but I think the the week after finals, Jim, I'm gonna sharpen back up. That's so the finals week got me, as I know I got a lot of kids this past week, so I'm glad to get out of that.
Attaboy. Good, 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 good. All right,
I
that
guess
is
some teams
our
actually probably have finals this week, though, right? It's not like everyone has the exact same. It just seems
yeah,
like everyone
different
mostly
finals
ahead of last
weeks.
year.
Yep. That is it for our BBOC, our first episode of the season. Again, we will be here every Monday morning, taking you through the Monday and Tuesday slates. So you're going to get a lot of SWAC talk from Matty Swaction. So don't worry, folks, if that's what you're waiting for. We've got plenty of it. Thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring the BBOC feed. Thank you to our producer, David, behind the scenes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will catch you again next week, Monday morning, here on the Big Bets on Campus podcast.